Hello Stampers, this is Kate with Kate's Creations, ready to show you another card today. The first one I'm going to show you is a card I cased, and I want to be sure and give credit where credit is due. It's a card originally made by Jan Musselman at iheartcards.blogspot.com. If I've got that right, I hope I do. But Jan Musselman, you could probably look her up, Jan Musselman Stampin' Up, and you'd probably find her if I got something wrong there. She made pretty much this exact card. It's a little bit different than hers, but pretty much the same, and it was called a mock stair-step card or something like that. And I really liked the design, so I'm going to make hers, and then I'm going to make one that's original to me. So this is hers, and we'll start with that, her version, like I said, with some variations. Okay, started out, and you can see here in the corner is my are the measurements and stuff. Okay, so you can do a screenshot of that and get that so you can write those things down if you need them, but I will try and explain it as I go along as well. So you start out with a base card. In this case, this is Evening Evergreen. It is 5.5 by 8.5, and it is then scored at 1 1/4, 2.5, and 5 1/4. Okay, then for the tent piece, which is this piece right here, it is cut 2 15/16 by 7 5/8, and then it put it in the cutter this way. It's scored at 3 inches right there. So let's get those burnished. And like I say, we're going to be, and I'm hoping that this isn't offensive to Jan to do hers and mine. That's not my goal. That's why I wanted to make sure I gave her credit. And you can check out her site. She has some beautiful things there that she does. So I encourage you to go check her out as well. So once they're burnished, it's going to look like, uh-oh, lost my connection. Hold on. Not sure what went on. Oh, shoot. Sometimes my technology, I know I'm still recording, so let me see if I can't get this to work. I'm trying to get my monitor to work. There we go. Because then I can make sure I'm keeping things in the screen where they need to be. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So when you get done scoring, it's going to look like this. And then this will be the front of the card. Okay? So that's that piece, and that's this piece. Then for the designer series papers, I used Lights Aglow DSP, and I used, this is where mine differs from hers, I used these two for this one. On this one, I used this nice dark green one, but on this one, I'm going to use this design. Okay, and then this is Evening Evergreen, and it's the Lights Aglow sentiment for making the tag. And then this is the tree cutout, and of course this came from the let me get my stamp set out. It's too early. It's over here on the other side. Hold on. It's one of my days, you know? I appreciate your patience. Here it is. It's this Christmas lights bundle, and it's the Twinkling Lights dies. Excuse me. There you go. So that's where this came from. And then I used the white glimmer paper for the snowflakes. And I used the Lights Aglow DSP for this piece as well. And that's, she uses the same piece. Now she used a stitched scalloped rectangle dies that we used to have. I do not have them. So I have to confess that here I used my Silhouette Cameo and I went in and created a rectangle of the correct size. And the rectangle that she used was 2 13/16 by 4 7/16 in the finished size. So when I went into my Silhouette, I just made my rectangle that size and cut it out on there. And I added some stitching as well with that. So, but if you have the rectangle, scalloped rectangle stitched, scallop rectangle, whatever, if you have those from the past, those would work, and the size is in there. So some of you may have that. You could also just cut it square, you know, that would be up to you. Okay. And on my next card, I do actually do that. So hang in there. Okay. So now here's all the pieces, and let's just build. So the first thing we got to do is attach these to the card, and we'll just use our Stampin' Seal here. And this leaves an 1/8 inch border all the way around, just like that. And then this other piece is going to go back here. And again, leaves an 1/8 inch border all around. So now it's going to look like that. Then the next thing I did was attach this piece to the front of the tent. She called it a tent. And this actually ends up with real close to almost a 1/16, but I made mine just a little bit smaller, I think. So there we go. So it's just centered on there. Then this I'm going to attach to the front, and you can tell when you do it that you only want to put, I'm going to line up the bottoms evenly, so you only want adhesive on this portion. You don't want to get too carried away. So we're going to do that. And we'll attach that piece, and it's just easier if you just lay it flat. And you're going to leave a little bit, I'd say, maybe a little over, maybe 3/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch on the side, left side, and just stick it down. So you can see how I left a little bit of a gap there. And so then when it stands up, it's going to look like that. And then on the back, I just, again, just viewed, I need to put adhesive on this portion. You can see it when I lift it up. And so that will stick it to the back section. Just like that. And then our card is ready to stand up. I can't get a view of it standing up, but you can see how it looks from the side. And then it's just a matter of attaching our pieces. Now, when I cut out the tree out of this lovely paper from Lights Aglow, I positioned it on the DSP, the die, so that my scallops would have a nice uniform look and wouldn't be off kilter. And I also made sure that the scallops hung down like they would on a normal tree. So that's something to watch out for when you're making it, okay? And it's going to just go on with dimensionals eventually. Yeah, it could go on now. That would be okay. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm actually using up most of my beautiful DSP. I should have put 2 on there. Should have went like there. Let's see if it'll come up since I haven't stuck it that good. Oh, good. There we go. And let's put a small one, a mini glue dot, glue dimensional, right here on the top. So it's got good support. And then just putting it on the front, centering it, top to bottom, side to side. So there's that. Then I used these snowflakes, and let me see, it should say in here where I got these from. Twinkling Lights Dies is where I got these 2 pieces that I'm going to use to make the tree topper. And I'm just going to put a glue dot, one of these, between them. And offset them. So that it gets a, and it's a little tricky because it's so tiny, but it can be done. So then it ends up looking like that. And then I don't know if that's what she did or not, because I didn't really look that close at that part of it, but that's what I did. And then put another glue dot in the middle and stick it on the top of the tree, just like that. Okay. Then the snowflakes I got from Frosted Flurry Dies, and I'm going to just attach them over here with the mini glue dots. And the centers of those are really small. So what I'm doing is I'm taking that glue dot and I am rolling it up and making it a little knot, just a tiny little knot, so that it'll fit right in the center of that snowflake and not put sticky outside of that area. And then I'm just attaching them. And depending on how much room you left, your placement is totally optional, however you want to do it. And I'm going to put one down kind of low where it doesn't necessarily show here, but when it's sitting open on a shelf, it will show. So when it's open like this and sitting on a shelf, see how it shows, but when it's closed, it doesn't. That's okay. It still looks really nice when it opens up. Okay, and then I had some champagne rhinestones, and I put a few of those on there. And just random, anywhere you think you'd like them. I kind of attached them to various spots on the quote-unquote garland of the tree, but you don't need to do every single one. I think that would get kind of busy, but a few of them makes it nice. I think it needs one in the middle. And so again, this is totally up to you how many you put in. Let's put one. Let's put one here, and let's move this one. I don't like it there. So let's move this one down here. There we go. Now I'm happy. Okay, and then the sentiment was stamped with Versamark, and I have a confession to make. I really didn't have any Merry Christmas phrases that were just in a straight line. And what I do when I'm getting rid of old sets that I'm kind of tired of is I pick out my favorite sentiments out of them. And so I had this Merry Christmas, and it was the Merry was on top of the Christmas, and I took my scissors and cut it apart and turned it into a Merry Christmas that was long like this. I do that kind of thing. It's from a retired set somewhere, I don't know where, and I don't really worry too much about that. This is going to get embossed, so I want to be sure and give it a little bit of a brush there. And we're going to emboss it with basic white so it stands out really nicely. I'm going to bring in this tray. Remember this kit, this tray is in the current mini catalog, and I have had mine since, I don't know, forever. And I was so glad to see that they brought it back, and I encourage you to get it. It's so handy, because then you can, make sure I got it. Because then once it's in the tray, it's so easy to just tip it up and tap it down and collect your embossing powder. Okay, so now I've got that. If you've got a pair of tweezers or something, you're going to want to have those to hold on to this so you don't burn your fingers when you're heat tool. When you're using the heat tool, and it's going to get a little noisy. Sorry about that. I usually preheat this so I don't have to run it quite so long. It does make it work a little quicker. So I'll usually turn it on. My husband made me a holder that sits on the edge of my desk, and I can just turn it on and let it sit there while it warms up. There it goes. It's finally starting to melt that powder. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then we'll attach this with dimensionals as well. And I put 3 of them on here to support that because it's a little bit long in the middle, and I don't want it to again, I have my pen holder. This is where I throw all my trash. See in there? It's small. It fits on my table. It's not in the way when I'm trying to work, and it gives me somewhere to throw that paper, those little scraps of things. Okay, and then I put that on there like that, and that's the finished card. Now again, this is very similar, almost exact, but very similar to the one by Jan Musselman. Please go visit her site and check it out. She's got some other things there that you will want to see. I encourage you to go do that. Now I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm going to use my own design and show you what kind of changes you can make. So I'm using real red this time, and so again, same measurements as the first card. Somewhere here I had the directions for this one that I changed. There it is. Sorry, I had to look around for a second. My desk gets busy and then I forget where I'm at. Okay. So you were using the same measurements, so you can follow basically the same measurements as the card 1. But here's card 2. Okay. And so the base is still 5.5 by 8.5. It's still scored in the same places, and we're going to burnish those scores. Okay, so that's the base piece. Then the tent is the same thing, same size, same scoring as the card 1, and it's ready to go. Then for the, I can try and put that in there. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. That's the card we're making, the design we're doing. And I am using for that, again, this Brightest Glow is the sentiment. And then I'm using the Merriest Moments bundle. So it's got the stamp set and the dies with the Merriest Frames hybrid dies. That's what I'm using for this card. Okay. So then I cut my vellum. I cut it all the same sizes that you'll see in the first instructions. and I am applying it with just the oh, I ran out of adhesive. I knew that was going to happen. So let's get that fixed. Open this up. Get that piece out. And I have one here somewhere ready to go, if I can find it. Uh-oh, it's disappeared on me. I had one already open and ready to go. Here it is, in the corner of my drawer. Okay, and you can just match up the holes. You can see that one is smaller and one is bigger, and the same thing here. So we're just going to slide that onto those holes, and that automatically lines everything up. And then just putting it together, and back it goes. Okay, so now we can finish putting adhesive on this piece. This vellum is just slightly opaque, and so the adhesive really doesn't show through it hardly at all. I'm okay with it. I laid this open like this so I could see my edges better, and once you've seen that, you can always go back and pause the video and get the information. So if that moves around, I'm not going to worry about it. This is from the Snowflake Specialty DSP paper. It's 12 by 12, and this is the polka dot. It's got white fuzzy polka dots. Now it's going to be that piece, and then this piece is the same, white fuzzy polka dots. There's also an adhesive out there that I have used that I have always been really happy with, and that was, got some stuff in that. There we go. From Tombow, and it's vellum adhesive, and it's really nice too. It's something you might want to invest in at some point. And again, you're just leaving that 1/8 inch border all the way around, and so then we have that part. And then for the tent, I cut a piece. It's the same DSP, but I cut a piece with the big white fluffy snowflakes, and that's going to go on the front of the tent. And I just cut it square, and I cut it at that 2 13/16 by 4 7/16. And it's going to go on here and leave a very narrow 1/16 inch border on the front of that tent piece. Just so you know. Okay, then we can go ahead and attach our tent piece. Again, you got to watch and make sure you don't put adhesive any higher than it should be. And lining up that bottom edge. This one I made the side piece just a little narrower. It's just a matter of whatever. It does not a rule that you have to follow necessarily, although you do leave enough room on the right hand side of the card for, there we go. That's ready to go. Now, the next thing I did was get a piece of basic white, and it is, I started with one that's about 4 by 5, and I took real red, and I stamped one large poinsettia, one small poinsettia, 3 berries, all with real red. And then I stamped 8 small leaves with garden green, and 3 large leaves, And I accidentally didn't do 8 of these, so I'm going to have to use 2 more of these. But it's however you want to do your leaves, okay? So I stamped those and die cut them out. Then I took Wink of Stella and I gave the berries a shimmer with the Wink of Stella. We'll do that next. Let that be drying. And we'll build this first piece. So what I did is I took the larger one and a glue dot. And I put it in the center of this one and then attached it offset. Like that. Now I took the smallest little cluster of dots and I did stamp them in the center of this with Mango Melody, but then afterwards I decided I really wanted to have just a little bit more bling, as you can see on this card. So I took the smallest of the rhinestone basic jewels and I colored them with the Mango Melody Blends pen, which dries permanent on non-porous surfaces, and I colored 7 of these rhinestones, and they will go in the center when I'm done building this card. The next thing I did was put a glue dot on the tip of 2 of the large leaves, or 3 of them actually. I'll do that just right on the very tip, so make them easy to place. One more, like that. Yeah, that'll work. And I'm putting that glue dot on the front of the leaf because I'm going to put it behind the flower. And so now it's just a matter of placing them. And I put the 2 going this way, and then I put this one behind and let them overlap just a little bit because it gives it a little bit more dimension. And so there's the flower ready to be placed on the card. And then I put this on with dimensionals. Just like this. I think that'll do. And then it's just a matter of deciding where on the card you want it to sit, and I kind of wanted it like this. So there we go. And then I'm going to create 2 of these clusters of holly leaves and berries. And the way I'm going to do that is, again, I'm going to take the berries and little tiny guys, and I'm going to put a couple of glue dots on the back of them. You could just run a little bit of, but I'm just putting just a couple little glue dots on the back. And then I can attach the leaves. And I did the same thing with these that I did with the big flower. I put the 2 on, sticking them to that glue dot I have on the back. And this one might need another glue dot because I covered it up. So put another glue dot on there. And then we'll add that 3rd leaf. Again, just gives it a little bit of dimensional. Now you could put these on with dimensionals as well. I didn't. I just put mine on flat. But you could put them on with a dimensional. And I put it up here as tight in the corner as I could. I'm going to do that. Just like that. Then we'll make the second one. Get a hold of those glue dots. Sometimes they're a challenge. And we'll make a second cluster. And again, when you attach these to your card, you need another glue dot. On the back here. Put this leaf on. And then one more, just to make sure it sticks good to the card. And this one, again, it's going to kind of go down behind just a little bit and then come up like that. And when it's closed, it covers part of it up, but when it's sitting, you can see it, and it makes it look really nice. Okay, then I have one more leaf cluster, and like I said, on my original card, I used the smaller holly leaf, but I didn't create enough of them to use right now, so I'm going to use the larger ones that I have, and I'm thinking it's going to probably still be okay. Let's go ahead and just put a glue dot on the front of each of these. I thought I had another one on my finger. I did right there. It's stuck to my fingernail. Let's see if I can get it to let go. There we go. And we'll put it on the berries, them on the berries like that. Then that's ready to go. Let's make them a little closer together. Let's overlap them just a little bit. Let's do this. There we go. Okay, then I have my sentiment. I already did my sentiment, same as I did on the first one with Versamark and powder and white embossing powder. And I'm going to add 3 dimensionals to that. Now stay tuned, because I'm going to show you how to make an envelope, because this particular card design needs an envelope that's just a little bit larger than, and I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of this one, this little cluster, and I'm going to put it just like that. And then for the center, for those little beads, what I did is I put one in the very middle, and then I put 6 more around the outside. And here we go. There's 3. One stuck to me instead of to the paper. Come on, go, let go, let go. It's okay. I color an extra one just in case. Five, and one more, which also tried to escape, and 6. That makes a nice little cluster in the center. We'll get that one out of the way because it lost its sticky. And there's card number 2. Now, like I said, this is going to require a larger envelope than your standard A2 envelope because it's a little bit taller. And so you're going to have to go with probably a 5x7 for the next size to make it still mailable. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. I have my Silhouette Cameo, and if you have one, you can just go in and get a 5x7 envelope and cut it and put it together. And that's what I did for this particular card. I just grabbed a piece of the Texture Chick DSP because I thought it looked really good with this particular card. And I just cut it out and put it together. And then I put a piece of double-sided tape. This is 1/2 inch wide along the flap so that I don't have to seal it right away. And when I'm ready, then all I have to do is peel and seal. On the front, you will have to place a white label here or the mail won't take it. You can't just write on patterned paper. So you'll just put a piece of plain white label sticker here, and that is what you would use for your address. But let me show you how you can also just make one. Again, you're going to take a piece of your choice of DSP. I go to my stash of discontinued, and I just pull out something that will look good with the card. So I pulled out this particular pattern for the outside of the envelope. The inside is kind of flowers and leaves, which really doesn't go with Christmas per se, but it's the inside of the card. So I wasn't too concerned about that. So you're going to start let me turn this over because somewhere I have the measurements. Here we go. For the envelope, you're going to first of all cut your piece down to 11 by 11. Then you're going to put it in your paper trimmer, and you're going to score it at 1 7/8 from this edge and 1 7/8 from this edge. Then you're going to turn your paper, and you're going to score it 1 3/4 and 1 3/4. When you're done, you'll have marks where you're going to come in with your scissors and cut away these corners right here. Okay, so you're going to cut away those 4 rectangles, 2 of them smaller, 2 of them larger. Then I took a corner punch and I rounded all of the corners that we're going to show. Okay, that just kind of softens the look, doesn't look quite so square and bulky. Okay, and so I just corner rounded them. Now it's ready to put together. So you're going to close this up, and you can see how this does not come all the way to the top. So you want to put adhesive on this portion so that it will stay closed. And you can tell from this how far out you can go. So, you know kind of how far out to go with your adhesive. And then you're just going to stick it down, just like that. And then this is the tape. It's peel and stick tape, 1/2 inch wide. I have a drawer full of all different widths. And just going to cut it to length here, get my scissors. And stick that on the flap. And you've got more than enough depth on that flap to stick that 1/2 inch piece on there. And then your card will just slip right in. It's a little bit bigger than the card needs from side to side, but it keeps it at a uniform size so that the post office will receive it, because they have these ratios of how tall and how wide it has to be in order to be accepted. And so this keeps it within those parameters rather than trying to guess. And so there we have it. I'm going to make sure, yep, that's still going to be okay. And then again, you got to put a white label on here for mailing, but that creates an envelope for you. So there's those measurements, 11 by 11 to start. Score 1 7/8 inch from the left side and the right side, then turn it and score 1 3/4 from the left side and the right side. Cut away the rectangles, use a corner rounder, and it softens the look, make it look like a little more like a pretty envelope, and you're good to go. So there we have it. There are today's cards. Again, do check out Jan Musselman. She Stampin' Up. You'll enjoy seeing her site. I'm sure she'd love to have you visit. And I thank you for stopping by, and I hope you had a good time watching today. Leave me a comment. I love to hear from you. I want to thank everyone who subscribed recently. I went from 440 subscribers to 560 subscribers, and it's still growing. And the only reason that excites me is because I love to share what I do. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have comments, leave them. If you have suggestions, leave them. If you have things you want to see, let me know, and I will do my best to make that happen. Thanks again for stopping by.